Okay, so here we have the main parts of the gearbox. We've got the lay shaft with the gears on. We've got the main shaft with all the gears on. And we've got the selector forks and the selector fork shaft. Oh, God. And we've also got a bit of metal. Oh no, it's a splinter. Great. Off the workbench. I'll leave the, the selector forks. That's the order they go in. With this is the drive side here. Okay, so that's the sort of back of the gearbox at this end, and these are the selector forks. You can see that all three are different, and that is the order and the way round that they go. So they go like that one's on last, but not that way round. That way round. Yeah. Okay. So I'll set those aside. And let's go and have a look at the lay shaft first. So this is like the outside of the gearbox. So we've got like the driven dog there that just comes away. Okay, and I'm going to put these to one side. And what I generally do is I put them to one side and then I say the outside of the gearbox facing upwards. Then there's so I know which way round to put them back in. Then there's a circlip on the shaft, so and we take that circlip off, and that should be about the only tool we need. Then off comes first gear, put that way up. Generally on the lay shaft, it's the first is biggest down to the fifth is the smallest, and the reverse on the main shaft. So that's first gear. Then we've got second gear. Then we've got third gear. Then fourth and fifth stay on the lay shaft, they don't come off. Okay, and we'll be inspecting those in a minute. Okay, but that's the lay shaft. Then we've got the main shaft, and it's got the kickstart sort of mechanism there. So we've got the end nut with a lock tab. Obviously, we'll be replacing that. And then the pull, and then the pull ratchet, which has got a sleeve in the middle of it. And then the spring and the washer. Okay, so that's all the kickstart mechanism. So then we've got first gear. Oh yes, combined first and second gear. Okay, then we've got third gear. Then we've got fourth gear. Now is it, can I get it off that way? Fourth gear. I'm trying to think, does it come off that way? Has it got to come off the back? Now I'm snookered. Yeah. So I think I've got to get fourth gear. I've got to get fourth gear off that way and fifth gear. This is fifth gear, the high gear sleeve. But I've realised that what's happened is the key is still in, and that is stopping fifth gear from coming off. So I'm going to have to get that Woodruff key out. Yeah, get that Woodruff key out, and then I'll be able to slide fourth and fifth off. So I'm just going to see if I can find something to ease that out with. Well, after a bit of a battle, I still haven't been able to get the Woodruff key out, but I've flattened it so that I can get the high gear off, and the high gear has these needle roller bearings inside, two of them, and an oil seal at the end. Okay, and then fourth gear comes off as well. So there we've got first, second, third, fourth and fifth. First, second, third, fourth and fifth gear. Okay, so I've disassembled it really. I didn't really need to, but obviously I wanted to show you what it looks like. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to check all the gears to see if there's any pitting, because these can pit. I don't know if there's like a flaw with the castings or whatever, but I've seen them, like some of my gearbox, it's pretty pitted to teeth. I'm also checking that there's a gap there between fourth and fifth, which there is, so that fourth is okay to spin. Okay, I think that on these later models there's a circuit down in there somewhere that holds them apart, because otherwise they can lock together, which you don't want. All those gears seem absolutely perfect. Check the pawl, see if there's any broken teeth, which there aren't. I've got a feeling that this part is unobtainable anyway. First and second looks perfect. Third, yeah, absolutely perfect. Ooh, very, very, very slight pitting. Can I get that in the light? Can you just see that just there? But I mean, that's absolutely minimal pitting there. Third, where am I? Fourth. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And high gear, perfect. Needle roller bearings, okay. Okay. So I won't be replacing the needle roller bearings because they're a complete pain to do that, and I always worry about doing more harm than good. They're absolutely fine, but I will obviously replace the oil seal at the end. And then I've also got to try and get this woodruff key out somehow. Now I've got the shaft out, and put a new woodruff key in, because it's a very important woodruff key. And now I've messed about with it trying to get the gears off. I need to put a new one in. But all the bearings look fine inside. You know, there's all the bushes. There's no, you know, everything looks absolutely perfect. So in terms of the gears and that, I'm very happy to put that back together. Then let's check the selector forks. I'm looking for wear on the side of the forks. That's sort of normal wear. There's no ridge. Okay, slight wear on that one. I'm looking for, you know, just wear on the edge here, where they engage with the dogs. That's got the most wear, but that's not a ridge at all. I can't feel it. It's just shiny. I can just feel it, but only just. So the selector forks are fine. So the gearbox is, in terms of the gears anyway, and the shafts, everything seems great. So we should be able to just go ahead and start reassembling that once I've got that damn woodruff key out. Oh, and obviously once I've put the I've changed the oil seal in the end of the in the end of high gear, fifth gear. Good, 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 good. That's looking nice. That's looking nice. Right, I finally managed to get that woodruff key out. It didn't want to come out, but it's out now. So I'll get a new woodruff key, because obviously I damaged it getting it out because it really didn't want to come out. I just managed to get it out with a hammer and a drift. And then I've taken the old oil seal out of the high gear, the fifth gear unit. Just checking that all the bearing surfaces is fine on that, all the teeth are fine. All the gears in the gearbox are in really good condition. So I just prized that out with a screwdriver, checked all the roller bearings are fine inside, they're absolutely perfect. And now we're just going to put a new oil seal in, and we want the open side sort of inwards, because we're trying to keep the oil in the gearbox. And hopefully I shall just tap this oil seal in, but it may not want to go in because it's on camera. Just have to try and make sure it stays straight. That's the main thing. If you get one edge down, then you're lost. There we we go, just checking it's fully down all the way around. Because if it's not even, it won't seal properly. If it's, you know, if it's at a slight angle, it won't seal. That one's fine now. A bit of copper on it and the mallet. Let's get that off. Yeah, that's perfectly home now. So that's good. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to loosely reassemble everything so that I know it's all back in the right order. Hopefully. Fourth gear. Fifth gear. Oops. There we go. Third gear. First and second gear. Just checking everything slides on nicely. A little bit of something on there. What that is, some sort of sealant on there. That's absolutely fine, that. And then I'll leave the ratchet assembly. I'm just going to bag that up and leave it separate for now. Leave the dogs, the selector forks. I've got fourth and fifth gear. Just checking the dogs as well that they're not worn. Okay, that's that third gear. Second gear. And first gear. And the circlip. There's a little groove for it. There's a little groove in the middle of the shaft there for the circlip, and then the drive dog, I think it's called. Now that's okay because that's tight. Now I don't think that moves. No, that won't move when it's in. So it doesn't matter that that's tight on the shaft. Yeah. It's the is that right? Yeah, it's the gear that moves, and not that dog. So that's fine. Okay, so I'll put them down now, ready for assembly, and then we're going to check the cam plate on the gearbox next. So here's the cam plate, and it's this that actually turns when we move the gear lever, and it turns with those teeth, and then these strange grooves here go on the selector forks, and then as these turn round, so it moves the selector forks, and so they move the gears. Now this looks absolutely fine. The teeth are all great, and there's no sign of wear at all in the selector grooves. But I'm slightly concerned because I did the last gearbox I did, everything was absolutely fine, but then when we put it all together, it wouldn't work. It didn't want to know. And in the end, I tried everything I could think of, and in the end I took it apart and we put a new, which is, I had to take all the primary case off, all the clutch, all the starter motor, and obviously all the gearbox apart, because to try to get this out. And then we replaced this and everything was fine. But even after I took it out, I looked at it and I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with it, which is a worrying thing because, I couldn't see, but when we replaced it, everything was fine. So, I'm a bit circumspect about these cam plates now, but, all I can say is it looks fine. And, why the other one wasn't working, I honestly don't know, because I took that gearbox apart about 6 times because of trying different things, and I couldn't find the problem for a mechanic is always if you can't find the problem. Once you've found the problem, you can mend it. It's a diagnosis. It's 90% diagnosis. Once you know the fault, then you can mend it. But it's finding the fault is the problem. I suppose like anything, like a doctor or whatever, once you've got a diagnosis, at least you know how to approach it. But if you can't find a fault, you can't mend it. Okay, but all the gearbox innards look great. Whoops, sorry about that. And so everything's ready to go back into the gearbox, which we'll do next.